Fix your bleep Nintendo. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I want to upload it to YouTube. And they are very, very strict about naughty words. Mm-hmm. So you can blame.
They are.
They literally do it like movies where like you're allowed one fuck. And I've already used it up. If you need to curse, get it out of your system right now.
Oh, we're not playing Call of Duty, so I'm good.
Do you folks have your Switches on hand? This, in my opinion, is one of the best pieces of hardware ever made. It's such an amazing concept, and its execution is almost completely flawless, except for one major problem. The controllers don't work half the time. And the problem is that when you use these for some people, this can happen after a couple of weeks, and for other people, it can happen after years. But inevitably, one of your Joy-Cons is going to give, and you are going to get Joy-Con drift, which causes your characters to move without you inputting anything. Even after 4 years, Nintendo will fix these for you for free. But they seem to be not willing to do anything to actually fix Joy-Cons, to like stop it from occurring in the first place. And it's starting to feel it's starting to feel at this point like they're doing it on purpose. Like, put your hands up if you've had, both of you, if you've had Joy-Con drift. 2 hands just for extra emphasis. How much drift have you had?
To the point where I've lost complete control of my character.
How many controllers?
1.
You're lucky.
Yeah. Well, this is my second Switch, so well, they replaced it, I guess. But yeah, I haven't had the issue on this one.
How long have you had this one?
I would say a year, give or take.
Give it 6 months.
Right. Don't jinx me. I'm going through this really bad, like with PlayStation right now.
Yeah, because this isn't only Nintendo that have this problem. It has come to light that PlayStation 5 DualSense controllers, if used for like, the average seems to be about 450 hours. They are also experiencing drift on their button inputs, and that might seem like a lot, like 450 hours. That's weeks.
It's 20 days, right?
Yeah, but yeah, that's less than 2 hours use a day.
Well, here's the crazy thing. They've been dealing with this since PlayStation 4. I currently I've had 5 controllers since I've had the PlayStation 4. 5 were all messed up. 3 have been replaced, and now the replacements have now currently stopped working. 2 of them have the drift, and 1 of them has just the D-pad is not working. Up and left and right do not work. So the 360 here, this is what I use to play Rocket League on, because I have now deleted it off of my PlayStation, and I can play it on computer because now I finally have the computer to do so. But yeah, before that, it was getting to the point where I was like, I can't play certain games because it got so bad. Even when I play Call of Duty, there are times where you'll see me like aiming at somebody, and then all of a sudden it's like my cursor just jerks to the right or to the left, but most of the time it's to the left. Or I'll be standing there, even in a solo game. Chat will start laughing because they'll see my character because I'm doing something else, and they'll just see my character just start scooting by itself. I'm like, yep, good old left stick. But in the same sense, there's no way to fix it, okay? But there's also no warranty. Like if I go to the store right now, or if I go to PlayStation, they're like, yeah, you got to send it back, and we're going to charge you $20 to send it back to us, even though it's our fault. We have not figured out how to fix it, and you're going to have to pay full price for a whole new one if we can't fix it. So what are we doing?
Before we get onto the whys, I want to know from Cindy some of her own personal experience with hardware failure.
The Joy-Con drift, of course. mine is like from the original, like my original Joy-Cons are up there, but like from the gray sort of Joy-Cons, the drift is so bad that if I just open the console and I go to the main menu, it goes to the right and to the lower, like to the lower right, just like plop and stays there forever.
It's like you don't have
a little bit, it goes back.
right, like you don't have any control of it. Even if you like try to move the stick around, it's done. Like you just have to wait for it to just stop on its own, right? That's what happened with ours.
It doesn't stop.
I did a poll on Twitter, and like I was quite surprised by the huge amount of feedback I got back on this. And basically I asked people what their experiences with the Joy-Con drift. We got over 100. This is not enough people to make like a full, like legitimate study out of, but I still think it's an interesting results to get. And out of 122 votes, 36% of people said that they had Joy-Con drift with one Joy-Con. 24% of people said they've had it with multiple Joy-Cons, and 33% of people said that they don't. They haven't experienced it at all, and 6% of people are heathens and don't own a Switch. So we can take that 6% out, and that balances out roughly to about 70% of people have dealt with this problem in some degree or another. And just from this small sample size, and like that legitimately surprises me that it's that high. Why aren't they fixing this?
I feel like it's kind of like a cheap fix. They're just not fix, but the way that they're producing these controllers, I feel like they're kind of making them in a cheap way, so to speak, because they're finding the easy, simple, so they can make more money. I feel like that's what it is.
Or not have to spend as much.
Exactly.
Because R&D requires you to like actually sit down and like solve the problem. Cine, what are your thoughts on that?
Companies have to start using different materials than they did in the past, because materials are limited. A lot of materials anyway that are used in tech are limited. They're getting more and more expensive, but also just generally aren't as valuable anymore. And I feel like that could be part of why modern, consoles have this issue, because it's not only Nintendo, it's Sony too. Mm-hmm. And if it's Sony too, then that means that there might be something in just the construction in general that is giving in, because they're not possibly not made out of the same materials anymore, or something else gives.
And
also,
it's especially surprising
than the Wiimote was.
Yeah, mm-hmm. It's especially surprising. I brought that up because Project mentioned this. Hey, you don't have a Wiimote hanging around by any chance?
Not currently.
Gold,
I do have pink ones. Yeah.
She's got a gold-plated Wiimote.
I love it.
Skyward Sword one that you got when you bought the game for the first time.
Oh.
Shuri says that, I hope right to repair laws become widespread to reduce material waste and prevent intentionally designed planned obsolescence. Cough, Apple phones, cough. Over here, we do have laws that are supposed to be basically that if something doesn't work, it's not fit for purpose and you can't sell it and you need to replace it, which is why they're willing to replace the thing if there's an issue. But the problem is this issue is so common that it seems like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I legitimately don't know anyone, unless they're barely using their Switch, who has not eventually. It seems to be a permanent problem. And here's what really bothers me about this. It's that Nintendo usually have such durable devices that last forever. If this constantly occurs in every device, what are we going to do in 5 years when they're no longer being produced? Like, if I don't have my Joy-Cons, my Switch essentially becomes useless.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is not true.
Okay.
Ring Fit Adventure will become useless, but you still have third-party controllers, and you still have the Pro controllers that will likely be working still.
Now you've just got me thinking about freaking what's it called again? Ring Fit. I'm just imagining Drift on the Ring Fit controller. It's like your character suddenly starts running 20 miles faster than they're
To be fair,
supposed to.
that's not possible because it
Circle
doesn't
fast.
move with it. Like, I actually don't know drift. I don't think drift would actually affect Ring Fit now that I think about it.
I just want to imagine it happening because I just want to
but
see your
that's the
character
thing.
run like a cheetah. And
Yeah, that is kind of interesting if drift would affect a motion control, because I don't think it would, right?
It would, yeah. I haven't tried though. I was just like, well, that's my drift controller, so I'm.
but the thing is, drift
using
does
that.
actually affect. We've been hearing that drift is affecting pro controllers as well, which is baffling to me. And even worse, it affects the Switch Lite. And the thing
yeah,
about
I
the
did read
Switch
about that,
Lite
yeah.
is that
You can't disconnect them. They
yeah,
have to
you
replace
can't
the
take them
entire...
off and replace them. They're stuck on the screen. So you're just stuck with, you have to send the entire device back.
Right.
And if you do that, they'll delete all your saves. Like they're essentially just sending you like a completely new machine. So then you need Switch Online in order to back up your data. But until recently, you couldn't even back up Animal Crossing. So there was a potential of losing 500-hour island that you invested half your life into. And my Switch has been running on a second-hand Joy-Con for the last... Yeah, this is super cool looking, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
The problem is they only do it for the left. There's no right side one to match. So I'm stuck with like...
The plain, like
unmatching Joy-Cons. Why would you make such a
Right.
beautiful left Joy-Con and not give me a right one to go with it?
Speaking of, just a little off topic,
on.
since I know you play, Animal Crossing, have you thought about restarting your island?
No, God, no. Are you kidding me? Why would I throw away all those amazing relationships with my villagers and all the time I put? Have you seen my island? It's a freaking paradise.
I haven't recently, but I do.
Well,
remember
it hasn't
going-
changed much. It's basically the
Oh,
same
really?
thing, but like, why change perfection? I'm glad you find that funny.
All the seasons.
What was that, Cindy?
And also, there's the problem that if you're not a time traveler, then you also have to wait to get all the stuff back
Exactly.
and slowly unlock it again.
Right? Are they in their own lawsuit right now? They
Yeah.
have a lawsuit against them.
But you would think if they had a lawsuit, they would actually be trying to like create a solution.
Maybe they think that they have a really good team of lawyers. But in the same sense, what is the source of it? Like, we kind of have said that maybe it could be like how they're producing like the materials. If it's like a cheaper plastic or lens that it's going bad or whatever the cause is. I think all parties involved, whether the third party into someone else to help build like the certain part, everyone who is involved in it should be held accountable. And I really think that it should become maybe, something along the lines of fix it or come up with a solution or stop producing.
If you don't fix this, you have to give the person basically refund the cost of the Joy-Con, essentially. And that would be one way to like ensure that they try and figure out a solution. Why don't they just get rid of that? Are they doing this on purpose? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'd love to hear, like, Sydney, do you think they're doing this on purpose? Do you think there could be, like, some benefit to them, like, taking this approach?
I'm kind of doubtful about it, since, I mean, they do still replace the Joy-Cons, and in most cases, for free, so I don't think they're doing it intentionally, because I mean that's still, lost cost right there.
But if the solution is so easy to like fix manually, why? Like,
It isn't the same solution for all the that doesn't work for all the controllers.
Damn it!
There are multiple drift solutions because one drift solution has not worked for all controllers, from my memory.
So it's a fundamental design flaw, essentially. Like if it's caused by multiple things, then that's a major issue. You like there's multiple, and it frustrates me because it's such a beautiful piece of technology. But like, let's all praise for a moment that this is a fantastic piece of work. The idea that it's just so seamless. You can just pick it up and just play it, and bring it with you.
I feel like it's simply the PC player's best friend, and also the adult's best friend. Like I know a lot of friends that have kids that do like the really long work hours and stuff like that. Like they don't want to play on anything else than the Switch anymore because it's the only console they can just pick up. Like they most of the time don't even, play on TV mode anymore because it's just so simple. Well, got a baby, just go walk around with the baby and have the console in front. That's basically, why they love it so much and why they wish that, if Nintendo brings out the next console, that it will still be basically a Switch.
So we're just gonna have to wait till the Switch 2 to get a solution to our problem.
Maybe, hopefully.
Even then, no, because then by forcing this obsolescence, again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I'm not saying this is actually what they're trying to do. But if you force these to fall apart after a certain length of time, people will just upgrade to the new unit anyway. And if it's backwardly compatible, then cool, there you go. You're sorted. Over on the Discord, we asked over there for people to share their stories of hardware failure, and we got a few interesting replies on this, and I would love to hear some from you folks as well, other than the Switch or the DualSense controller on the PS5. Have you folks ever had issues with your hardware? And like, what's the worst hardware failure you've ever had to deal with? For me, personally, it was the Red Ring of Death. Anyone remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't have it, but I remember when it went around.
It went around like a virus.
I worked at a certain video store that we had to take in the inventory because people could buy it from us. And it was just a common thing that the Xbox would do. Just had the Red Ring of Death, and that was
Microsoft.
A very busy day.
And nobody can say I don't give Microsoft credit after this. They actually made a new machine that fixed the problem and ensured that it didn't reoccur in their future devices. Do you think they'll fix this?
They should.
No, do you think they will?
I think they would. I think honestly, I think if it starts to get it to the point where it's going to turn people off from buying these new consoles, if it's a reoccurring thing, I think they would. That's only if their money is messed with. I feel like they would. But if it doesn't affect sales at all, I don't think that they will.
Hey there, beautiful people. Thanks for reaching the end of the episode. If you're listening to this, please do consider checking us out on Patreon, as well as dropping a follow and a like here. Also, check us out on Twitch, where you can be directly involved in these discussions face to face with me. We can have some nice, deep conversations about all the different things that we discuss here on this channel. Take care of yourselves. Stay beautiful.